Hello and welcome to another Saturday where I have a talk about all of what Tinto Talks has been talking about during the week. This time, of course, we had the foreign-owned buildings Tinto Talks, which is very, very cool. I quite like that dev diary. And there's been quite a lot of interesting discussion after it. I was planning on releasing this video a little bit earlier, but I was also planning on waiting for a Saturday building to start it off, and unfortunately there is no Saturday building today. One thing that I also missed talking about in the previous video on Wednesday is that last Wednesday was Johan's 50th birthday, so a belated happy birthday to Johan. I hope you had a great day. And yeah, without further ado, let's get into all of the things that he has said in response to this dev diary. So first off, where do the goods for the buildings in foreign nations come from? Your own markets or the location's markets? They appear in the market that the location is, which raises the question, some of the buildings that you're able to build in foreign areas, say, for example, the missionary, if the place you are building in does not include those goods, are you going to have to do some sort of thing with your merchants to take goods from your own markets and send them to where you want to build these things, sell them to that market, just to build the missionary, or if there is other colonial buildings, for example. That might be a kind of an interesting situation that you might find yourself in. Certainly, I think this game is going to have you be a lot more hands-on with how you work around your trade, how you move goods around. I mean, of course, EU4 had goods, but their trade system is a little bit ass, not going to lie. So definitely, I think there's going to be a little more hands-on, and yeah, this is maybe one example of what you might be wanting to do. Old Sealand, famous Old Sealand, famous for his original comment at the start of every dev diary. Much wow. What happens when you go to war with a nation that has your embassy, other than that nation can destroy the building? If the relation is at less than 0, at the end of a war, they can destroy it. I guess they can't destroy it during a war. It has to be destroyed after the war. Maybe that is confirmation of that. Is it possible for military orders to get out of hand, where giving too much power results in them trying to do some hostile takeover or something like that? So Johan originally commented here, there's only one commandery per Catholic country. But if we have a look at the commandery here, we have Wien, we have Graz, and we have Ljubljana, which are all in Austria. When this was pointed out to Johan, he rescinded that and said, oh, I was wrong. There is no limit, it seems. So back to the original question. Is it possible for military orders to get out of hand? If you can build them in every location, and they're going to give you, admittedly, a very small amount of money. I say it's a small amount of money, but we really have no idea how the economy works. Whether 0.08 is large or small, like, who knows? But the fact is, they've built 140 of these, so maybe it could potentially get out of hand. Or maybe this is already out of hand, or, I mean, it depends on what your definition of out of hand is as well. We'll have to see how that works, because, yeah, they are not limited to one per country. Is there a way to prevent another nation from building a trade office in your lands, either simply telling them no or something like a decreased relations mechanic? Bad relations is the only way, really. Having a relations below 0, they will not be able to build a trade office in you. I was thinking, and it's something that someone else thought as well, because it's a comment that we'll be seeing a bit later, maybe having an embargo on a country would prevent them from building trade offices, prevent them from building embassies. That might be a nice way to further that diplomatic gameplay and give you more options there. I think maybe that could be added. Is there any benefit to the host country to have the building? Talking about like the trade office, for example. It looks like it consumes pops and goods, but doesn't provide anything besides upgraded pops, which a player might not want to have due to pops equals estate power. No benefit to the host country, but they will move pops to that location, which might be a good thing. But they will count for the building owner and not for you. So not a good thing, though, if these are... they're not going to be adding to estate power because they're not technically your pops, or maybe they're kind of your pops, but you're not getting any benefits from them, so maybe they're not also establishing some estate power. It's kind of hard to say based on the information we've got right now. But yeah, maybe it would be nice if there was some kind of benefit for a country having a trade office in you. Increased trade power for both parties, perhaps? Something along those lines? Is there any sort of downside for having a bunch of buildings from a banking tag in your nation? Nothing at the moment except burgers eating food. And yeah, these burgers are not yours. You're not getting any wealth from them. You're not able to tax them. They are, in essence, the country who built the trading building. They are their pops, essentially, for those reasons. Is there any reason that you'd want to destroy those buildings? Well, maybe you want these burgers to be paying you tax instead of the building owner tax. Unless they do pay you tax, in which case, who knows? I guess that is a bit of just speculation on my part. I am not sure. I mean, we did see that they are benefiting the owner of the building, but in how many ways, we kind of don't really know the full extent of it. Do building-based countries send pops to staff buildings, or can they recruit using local populations, leeching off the native population? So they send part of the population, and then they promote and assimilate some locals. What part of the population are you sending? Is the question that I would have. So if we go and find the trade office here, they have 100 burgers. Is it the initial trade office that is built? You send 100 burgers. If you are a building-based country, where are you getting the pops from? Where are they coming from to go here? And then when they arrive, when you're upgrading it, then that is when you're assimilating the locals to work for you. But where are these guys coming from is my question. Definitely wouldn't mind getting an answer to that. Is there a limit on how much we can spam buildings? Yeah, can you afford them? Although, considering how much we're seeing of this building system, especially when we were looking at the ages and eras, where some of the institutions that spawn require you to have 250 levels of building in a location, we're definitely going to be building a lot more than we have done in EU4, or maybe any previous game. I don't even think Victoria 3 had that many buildings in a single location. So that's certainly an interesting new dynamic, I guess. In relation to religions, is, for example, Judaism harder to convert? Yes, some religions are harder, so we're going to get some religion-based modifiers. I know, for example, Sunni in EU4 is 2% harder to convert, so you need 2% more missionary strength in order to convert it. Will missions disappear once a location is owned? Yes, these missions that they're talking about is the missions that you build in uncolonized territory to convert people, not mission trees. We haven't really got onto that yet. Who gets merchant power of a trade office? The owner of the building, the one who built it. So, moving on. Are there any foreign buildings you can use to mark your sphere of influence? Yes, there are, in fact, ways for that. Definitely looks like there is, maybe not consciously, maybe not intentionally, but there does seem to be a lot of bones thrown to people who may potentially want to create a Victorian-era mod for Project Caesar for EU5. Having spheres of influence certainly being one of those things. If you can, build foreign buildings in countries to mark them as part of your sphere of influence, could certainly be a way of modeling that. But very cool. Are there any other foreign buildings connected to colonization? Some, like the mission, yes. There is more than just the mission. We will find out about those when we find out about those. Foreign buildings can give benefits and penalties to both the owner of the building and the owner of the location. Yes. Yes, yeah, just yes. Who pays the construction cost and maintenance of the building? The owner, that being the owner of the building, not the owner of the location. Good to know. Is it possible to make production buildings like the tannery, sheep farms, canometer, etc. in a foreign country and earn the profits made from this building for yourself? No. Though I feel like this might be moddable. If we're looking at like building code, potential. This is speculation now, I will say, but it's speculatory. I'd say the code for build office will be something like is buildable in foreign capital, or the location that is possible to build this in is going to be coastal. It has to be coastal because of the maritime presence, and in foreign country. And I'm imagining that maybe that's going to be something that you can add to other buildings as well. I think this is going to be moddable. I think we're probably going to be able to have this be a thing if we so desire, if the person making the Victorian era mod, because let's be honest, that will be made, so desires. I feel like that's going to be possible. If a nation ceases to exist, what happens to its foreign-owned buildings? Can you take over foreign-owned buildings in your own country? If they get annexed and are a location-based country, then the annexer takes them. So, say Portugal's built a bunch of missions all over South America. Spain goes along and decides that they want to be part of Spain now. Then Portugal gets annexed, then all of those missions will be now owned by Spain. Makes sense. Can we negotiate missionaries without having a colonial charter, such as Matteo Ricci establishing a Beijing mission in exchange for letting the Ming court study European clockwork? That would in fact be another mechanic, though I imagine, I have a secondary question. Can I build these missionaries? Can I build them in locations that I have no colonial charter going on? Can I build them in, obviously, the uncolonized territories just all along, say, I'm England, I'm wanting to colonize the 13 colonies region, and I just pepper the entire coastline with missionaries, even though I'm only going to be, starting off with a colony around Manhattan. Can I just pepper the rest of it, even though I'm not got any claim there yet? I would like that to be a thing. But also saying that there's going to be another mechanic for, trying to convert a foreign country peacefully, or trying to convert their population at least. There's going to be another a mechanic for that, which sounds really, really cool. Looking forward to seeing what that is. A great dev diary as always, I agree. Does embargo affect trade offices? This is what I was saying about earlier. Maybe I should have had this question earlier as well. Whatever. Does an embargo affect trade offices and maybe other foreign buildings? So an embargo does not directly forbid you from being able to build them, but embargo makes you unable to use merchants and also hurts relations. So the trade office is not going to be exactly giving you all that much. You'll get merchant capacity in an area that you can't really use because of, you're embargoed. So, yeah. It's going to be difficult to make use of that, I guess. The pops employed in foreign buildings, for example, the 100 for the trade office, do you have to pay them? Well, no, pops don't get paid at all. That's not a mechanic here. Are pops employed in foreign buildings always local pops? They're local in the sense that they'll live in that location. Fair. Do they originate? I mean, this is another thing that would go back to the question that we had previously, that, these foreign-owned buildings will have pops initially sent to them from the country that builds the building. Where they're coming from, we don't know. Maybe this was an attempt to get clarification that wasn't helped, that this didn't really answer anything. What happens if there's not enough people in a location for all of its buildings? Do foreign buildings come last in employment priority? This is the fun part. There are different policies in a law which determines the order of employment for pops, so it depends on that. Nice. I'm looking forward to seeing some of those. I know we had laws in a very early dev diary, but I want that expanded upon. I want to know the nitty-gritty on what laws there are going to be. If I build an embassy in Zurich, can I get an event that a character named Jason Bourne spawns in my service? 100% historically accurate, but only if the game mode is greater than 1990, for sure. Absolutely. Side note, this series of films, the Bourne films, I can't tell any of them apart. Like, I've watched them all, and you show me a particular scene, I have no idea which film is part of that. I don't even know which one comes first. Anyway, just that's just a little bit of an aside. How long will it take to get the value and investment back from the foreign buildings? Because it feels like if I plan on conquering anyone in the next 100 years, I shouldn't build my buildings there, because they'll destroy them after the war. I'm talking about particularly like the embassies. Also, I'm probably not going to build them somewhere further away than that, because diplomacy is limited, and I'm not going to waste it on improving opinion with someone who's far away. So, this is a mentality thing. This is straight up a mentality thing. There are... Let's take an example country. Let's say I am playing as Denmark. There are countries who I'm going to want to build an embassy in that I'm not planning on conquering. France, for example. As a Denmark game, I'm generally not going to be invading and conquering France. So having an embassy there just kind of makes sense. But... You know, if I plan on conquering in the next 100 years, I won't build it, okay. But further away than 100 years, I'm not going to, because diplomacy is limited and I'm not going to waste it on improving opinion that was so far away. I don't know how much Octopuses is planning on conquering in the next 100 years. If somebody who is far enough away that you're not planning on conquering them in the 100 years... If they're so far away that you don't want to do diplomacy with them, like, man's on a world conquest grind, let's be honest. But yeah, it depends on what you want to do, really. If you're planning on conquering an area, you won't build up that much. But yeah, like I said, Denmark building embassies in a bunch of North German miners is also probably on the cards. Ottomans probably wouldn't want to build embassies in anywhere in, the Balkans or Anatolia, or maybe even in the Mamluks. But I don't know. Also, conquest is probably pretty expensive. Of course it is. Moving on though, to, I don't know why I have this here. Moving on even more. Random question that is unrelated to buildings. Do markets have tariffs? No. They do not have any tariff system done yet. This is a very important word. It means that maybe they have ideas on adding tariffs to the game, and it's just not done yet, which would be cool. I think tariffs would be a good thing to add. It's hard to make it good when markets are not being exact country borders. That's true, but I trust that they will be able to figure it out. And of course, at the end of the Tinto talks, maybe this is why this is here, we had this lovely little line, next week winter is coming. So I am imagining that we're going to be talking about climates and that sort of thing. So, Matt for here, bro thinks he's him. Him being, of course, Eddard Stark. Fuck no. I'm not going to spoil Game of Thrones. And it's fine to call it Game of Thrones because that's the name of the first book as well. Just put that out there. Or I guess it's at Game of Thrones, but whatever. But yeah, obviously you don't want to be him. Obviously you don't want to be him. He's Sean Bloody Bean. Everyone knows what happens to Sean Bloody Bean in everything that he's in. But anyway, and also Johan saying here that he is more of a Tyrion than a Ned, which is... I mean, it's fair enough. I think Jon is much better looking than Tyrion is, especially as described by the books. He's apparently a horrific creature. But anyway, I just thought it was funny to add in there, and it's also kind of tying into what we are going to be getting next week. So yeah, I think it's going to be climate system, as we know from Imperator Invictus, the mod for Imperator Rome. climates there change the amount of food that you get every, from your farms and from your food trade goods. And during the winter, you gain less food than you do during the summer. I am hoping it is done better than it is in that mod, because in the mod, all it kind of does is gives you a notification saying that you're running out of food in a certain province. But then when you go and check on the province, you see that, oh, it's only running out of food because it's winter and it's actually going to be just fine. Hopefully it's done better than that. We'll see what else climate and maybe weather as well ends up affecting. But I am looking forward to seeing that. So that is going to be coming on Wednesday. So I will see you then, and we will learn all about climates. If you would like to support me in bringing all of this information to you, then feel free to hit the subscribe button. That would help me out tremendously, and you stay informed as well. It's a bit of a win-win. Like the video if you liked it, and let me know down in the comments below any of the thoughts that you may have had during this video. Anyway, with all that out of the way, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on Wednesday. Bye-bye.